Ever feel like Joe Rogan's political views are kind of a mystery?
Yeah, I
Like
feel
he's all over the place.
kind of tough to figure out where he really lands.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into that very question.
All right.
We've got this article here called Pasted Text.
Interesting.
And it's all about, trying to figure out
Yeah.
what Joe Rogan's political affiliations really are.
Right.
So the interesting thing is, right off the bat,
Okay.
he says he's neither Republican nor Democrat,
Right.
but just an American.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine.
Sounds pretty neutral, right?
Sounds very neutral.
Yeah.
But then you start to dig a little deeper, and
Exactly.
you see some things that maybe don't quite line up.
Yeah, like what?
Well, for example, he attended Trump's inauguration.
Oh, wow.
So if he's totally neutral,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be kind of a weird thing to do?
Yeah. I mean, attending a presidential inauguration usually signals some level of support,
It does.
you know?
You're kind of there to celebrate
Exactly.
the new president.
It's a pretty partisan event,
Yeah.
you know?
So already we're seeing
Yeah.
some cracks in that just an American facade.
Right. And this wasn't just a one-off thing.
Oh, really?
Leading up to the 2020 election, Rogan was pretty active.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
For starters, he had Trump on his podcast for like a 3-hour interview.
Wow. 3 hours.
Yeah. Pretty extensive, right?
Yeah.
He also interviewed J.D. Vance.
Who's J.D. Vance again?
Oh, he's a Republican senator now.
Oh, right.
But at the time, he was just, a rising figure in conservative circles.
Okay.
Rogan actually seemed to agree with a lot of Vance's points, even some of the more controversial ones.
Interesting.
And get this, he was even supposed to interview Kamala Harris.
No way.
But those plans fell through.
So he interviewed Trump, but not Harris.
Not Harris.
Interesting.
And then to top it all off, Rogan publicly endorsed Trump for president.
Whoa.
And after the election, remember Dana White?
The UFC guy?
Yeah, the UFC president.
Yeah.
He's a big Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Right.
He actually thanked Rogan for his endorsement.
Wow. So
yeah.
it kind of seems like Rogan's actions don't really match up with that whole apolitical thing.
Yeah, it really makes you question how neutral he actually is.
Right.
Like, he's definitely playing in the political arena,
For sure.
even if he says he's not on any particular team.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got this picture of him being pro-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But then 2020 throws us a curveball.
Oh, yeah.
He comes out and endorses Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primaries.
I remember that.
Hold on.
It was pretty surprising.
So he's pro-Trump
Uh-huh.
and pro-Bernie.
Yeah. It's like, what's going on here?
How does that even work?
Well, it suggests to me that he's not really driven by party affiliation.
Okay.
Like Democrat versus Republican. I think
Yeah.
he's more drawn to strong personalities,
Interesting.
people who challenge the status quo,
Okay.
and both Sanders and Trump,
Yeah.
despite being on opposite ends of the political spectrum,
Totally.
they kind of fit that bill.
They do. They both
Yeah.
really shook things up.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's not playing by the usual rules of the political game.
Exactly. And it gets even more complicated.
Oh, no.
Later on, he says he's more likely to vote for Trump than Biden,
Okay.
but then he actually votes for the Libertarian candidate,
Who was that?
Joe Jorgensen.
Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah.
So we've got a self-proclaimed American
Right?
who attends a Republican president's inauguration,
Uh-huh.
endorses a Democratic socialist,
Yep.
and then votes Libertarian.
It's a lot to unpack, right?
It's a lot.
It is.
Are you starting to see the pieces of this puzzle fit together?
I think so.
What do you see?
Well, it seems like he's driven by individual candidates more than party loyalty.
Okay.
But then there's this whole other layer to consider,
What's that?
the influence of his audience.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, remember the whole thing with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Oh, yeah. He kind of endorsed him at first
Yeah, he seemed to be leaning that way.
and then quickly backtracked.
He got a lot of pushback from his MAGA fan base.
Oh, right. The Trump supporters?
Yeah.
And that term MAGA, that's short for,
Make America Great Again.
right, Trump's slogan.
Exactly.
Okay, so he faced backlash.
And changed his tune.
Wow. So even Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
with his huge platform
Millions of listeners.
and his reputation for speaking his mind,
He's not afraid to be controversial.
right, even he has to consider the consequences of his political endorsements.
Yeah, it seems like it.
It's really fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
How much power the audience actually has,
It's a lot.
especially in today's world.
Absolutely.
And to make this whole thing even crazier,
What now?
Kennedy, the guy Rogan almost endorsed,
Yeah.
is now Trump's pick for Health and Human Services.
Oh, wow. So it's all come full circle.
It's like these political circles just keep intersecting.
It really is.
So after all of this, what do we make of Joe Rogan's political identity?
I honestly don't think there's an easy answer.
Yeah.
He rejects the labels. But his actions and endorsements paint a very complex picture.
They do.
It's hard to pin him down.
So what does this mean for the rest of us?
Well, that's a great question. I mean,
Right.
is Rogan's American identity something we should all strive for?
Like, is he transcending political boundaries?
Exactly. Or is it just a way to stay popular?
Yeah, appeal to a wider audience.
Right.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
It's really something to think about, isn't it?
It is.
Like, are we moving towards a new kind of political engagement?
Where it's all about individual merit?
Yeah, not party loyalty?
Right.
Or is this just blurring the lines?
Making it harder to hold people accountable.
Yeah, and to really understand where they stand on the issues.
It's a fascinating dilemma.
It really is.
With no easy answers.
Well said.
Hey.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive,
Right.
but this conversation is far from over.
Absolutely.
What do you think about Joe Rogan's approach to politics?
Yeah, let us know.
Is it the future or a slippery slope? Hit us up on social media.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Until next time,
See ya.
stay curious
Stay informed.
and keep on diving deep.
Bye.